The U.S. and U.K. have called for Syria to be expelled from 2 UNESCO human rights committees. A British Foreign Office representative says the country's presence in itself sullies the UN body's reputation. Meanwhile, a former high-ranking military chief in President Assad's regime, who defected to the opposition, has claimed Syria won't be capable of confronting any international military action against the country. He says the assessment's based on confirmed information from sources within the Syrian army and his own experience. It comes as tension in the country reaches boiling point after a suicide blast targeting police killed 26 people in central Damascus, something the government vowed to respond to with an iron fist. Let's now get more perspective on the situation in Syria from Dr. Jamal Wakim, political analyst and professor at the Lebanese International University. Dr. Wakim, thank you so much for being with us. We're seeing some very dramatic scenes at the funeral in Damascus today, even as Assad and the rebels trade accusations over who was behind the bombing. Where do you stand on all of this?
I believe the one behind the bombing is the same side that is behind the bombings in central Iraq. I believe that the bombs were launched by groups that are related to the CIA in an attempt to destabilize both Syria and Iraq at a time when the Americans are withdrawing from Iraq and they are trying to reset a new perspective or a new direction for their policies in the Near East in an attempt to impose a new regional order that keeps this region under their control, fully loyal to them, in a bigger confrontation against both Russia and China, and with them Iran. We need to see this confrontation, what's going on in Syria, as a part of a bigger confrontation between a coalition of continental powers on one hand, which includes Russia, China and Iran on one hand, confronting a coalition of maritime powers including the United States, Western Europe and Turkey. And the main scene of confrontation is this Middle East, and the core of this Middle East is Syria for the time being. So we cannot isolate what's going on there from this bigger perspective.
Well, Assad also seems to be, in every sense of the word, a political outcast, especially in international media. Even if it was a rebel group behind the bombings, Assad's really guilty by default, isn't he?
Well, according to Western media, of course he is guilty, because they want to oust Assad because he didn't comply with their policies. He didn't agree to break his ties to Iran. He didn't agree to sever his ties to Russia nor to China. So for this reason, what they perceived for the region was a region under full American control, that Syria should break its ties because they need to obstruct any Russian, Iranian or Chinese access to the Mediterranean. And Syria now is the last foothold for Russia, for Iran and for China on this Mediterranean, and even on the hot waters. So we need to see this from this perspective. Of course, Assad will be an outcast because he's not complying with the American policies, as Saddam Hussein became an outcast when he stopped complying with American policies.
Dr. Wakim, though, don't you see some sort of danger? Isn't there a danger that some might take advantage of Assad's reputation and carry out the attacks in the knowledge that he'll eventually end up paying the price?
I believe the issue at stake is not the reputation of Bashar Assad. I believe that the attempts or the attacks that are launched now in Syria, it's clearly not launched by the regime. They are launched by the same group that is launching attacks, suicide attacks in central Iraq, in order to stir up sectarian confrontation between Sunnis and Shia. This is how the Americans are trying to putting Sunnis against Shia in order to create this rift in the region, and this is as part of their bigger plan to establish a Sunni world under their control facing a Shia Muslim world, and this way they can block both Russia and China in the hinterland of Asia.
Unfortunately, that's all we have time for. Dr. Jamal Joaquin, political analyst and professor at the Lebanese International University, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.